What's up, Drop Pod listeners? You can check out new episodes of the Drop Podcast every Tuesday and Thursday, wherever you listen to podcasts. You can find all of our content on YouTube at the Drop Golf Podcast and on our socials. That's Instagram and Twitter at the Drop_pod. No matter how you consume us, like, subscribe, rate, review, all that good stuff. Follow and listen along.
This is the Drop Podcast where we talk golfing in the Garden State. I'm Mike Toro, and this is Ryan Coulott.
What's up, Drop Pod people? Welcome back to our second episode of the week, Thursday interview with Austin Devereux. Austin is the head of outside operations at Manasquan River, Mike's four-ball partner, and more importantly for this interview, the winner of the 41st NJSGA Mid-Am, which was held down at Union League National just a few short weeks ago. So we got Austin on. He was able to come on, talk about a lot of different things, kind of the state of his game, how he was able to kind of come back. Again, for those that don't recall, him and Mike played very well at Galloping Hill and then not so well at Hollywood for the four-ball. And he kind of talks about the state of his game and kind of how he went from really not playing very well at Hollywood to winning the next tournament he played in. Mike, right? There's nothing in between there for him, I don't believe.
I think there was a qualifier for the U.S. Open at Fairmont. I think there was a qualifier in there too that he didn't play very well at either. But nonetheless, listen.
So to go two of not playing well to then winning it is pretty impressive. So
yeah, and I credit that success to going to the claw. And you'll hear that story about how he decides he's going to putt with the claw after not putting with the claw ever in his life, which I thought was just amazing. And I loved hearing that. And I know there's going to be some people that cringe when they hear that, he putted with the claw to win that thing, but he did, and he got it done. And listen, I think what's kind of cool is the one shot that stood out a lot to a lot of people at that place what he hit was at 3-wood on the par 5 that Austin gets in detail about. And recently you and I traveled up to Forest Hill and we actually saw Andrew Giuliani, the participant the runner-up, thank you, that Austin beat. And even Andrew had brought up that 3-wood that he hit that was just like a career shot. And Austin retells that story. So listen, it's another one of those things that like, it's such an easy, free-flowing conversation. Austin talks about his victory, how well the membership of Manasquan is there to support him and help him. So it's another doozy. You got to sit back, relax, and enjoy the show.
Yeah, and so good. I mean, I know we've developed this relationship with Austin, and you and him have that relationship as well. But I would say this again, and I said it with Chris when we've had him on. I feel like I know Austin extremely well. He's been very gracious to us in coming on a whole bunch. Now developing a DM and texting relationship. It's Austin and I have met a handful of times. Not just some stranger, but like whenever I see him, he daps me up. It's a hello, how are you? We're legitimately friends. And again, I think it just goes to show the golf community is super open, and it's just another experience that we're having here that is just Austin's a great human being, and good things happen to good people. A wise person once told me that, so I had to re-say it.
Can always give credit where credit's due.
So without further ado, we're not going to hold you up. We're going to send you to our interview with Austin. Enjoy.
George Wall Ford in Red Bank, New Jersey is family owned and operated, proudly serving New Jersey residents with superior customer service since 1960. Rye, share your story about your experience there.
Mike, I went on a tangent in one of our episodes previously about it, but I can't say enough good things about George Wall Ford. I needed a new car. I had an old. I loved the brand that I had. I loved, it was an SUV, but had 165,000 miles on it. It was just time, So I hopped on over to George Wall Ford. I saw our guy, Jerry, and Jerry and his team were awesome. I mean, from stem to stern, they're there, they're helping, they're knowledgeable. They have so many cars on the lot that you can go in and say, hey, I want a sunroof, a navigation. I want this kind of rims on it. I want this kind of this, that, and the other thing. there's a great chance that they have that car with all your specs, the color, all that thing. Me, I didn't particularly care. I was like, hey, I want to be high up in the car, right? I need an SUV. I'm a big guy. I got a dog. I got golf clubs. I got beach chairs in the summer. I need something that's a little more rugged, a little more. Again, I like to be higher in my car. And I went and saw Jerry. He pointed me in the right direction. And again, it's awesome to have that kind of help and support from your salesman to the finance guy to even they got somebody who helps you set up your car, right? I got an app on my phone now that's got my auto start on it. I can locate my car if I don't know where it is. I could take a trip to Japan if I wanted to and be like, did I lock my car? And I can go into the app and lock my car. So even people helping you set up that stuff, just the hands-on approach over there is incredible. So if you need a car, head on over to George Wall. And go ask for Jerry. They were awesome there. Again, stem to stern from everybody. I can't say enough good things about it. It was an unbelievable experience.
So to Ryan's point, there isn't a better place to shop for a brand new car. Just call 732-704-1932 and ask for Jeremy Wall. George Wall Ford in Red Bank for all your car buying needs. All right, so today's guest, when you're talking about winners winning, we got it here today. Today's guest is the 41st NJSGA Mid-Amateur Champion, Austin Devereux. Austin, thank you so much for coming on today's show.
Thanks for having me. Good to be back on.
Love it. Good to be back on. Austin, you keep winning. We're going to keep having you.
Hey, listen, you make our lives easy. You win, simple text, done. Yeah. Other people, we're talking about playing Tetris with schedules. So this is perfect.
Yeah.
There's a lot to dive into here. But I do want to kind of backtrack this to the 4-ball when you and I are together. Okay. And a lot of people ask me like kind of what happened. How come you guys didn't make the match play? And I could tell that when you're trying to balance the things that you balance, that was playing a toll mentally on you. And obviously getting new sticks puts things a little more, in a difficult frame of mind, getting adjusted to them. But what transpired from Hollywood to Union League to make you feel a lot more comfortable? Because for me, there was one thing that I saw stand out more so than anything. But from your perspective, what was it?
For me with my game, before these irons, I played the other irons for probably 8 years. Had a lot of success with them. My coach, Jason Berry, will tell you, we tried to move on from those, my senior year in college, and those didn't work. And kept going with those ones. And then finally just needed to make that change. And I've always been, a feel guy when it comes to clubs. I've never been statistical with anything. If it feels good, it's going to work out. And
it's my kind of guy right there, Mike.
I kind of got out there at Manasquan on Sunday just to play a couple holes. Didn't really take much stock into it, but I just hit a bunch of different golf shots, try to get a feel. And the game, even like Hollywood, I did not play good. My time for practice and playing is much more limited than it was when I was in college. And that Sunday for me, I played like 6 holes and it felt good. And I kind of felt the feel that would work with the irons, and kind of got down to Union League, not knowing what to expect, and got to the range, and I was hitting the ball good on the range. So I just tried to keep that, and it just worked. And I'm hoping now that I can keep that swing feel, because I don't think I've struck iron, even my old irons. I don't think I've struck, ball striking wise, anything as good as I did for a couple of years through a solid 3-day stretch.
Yeah. So can I go back to when did you get the new irons? Like, talk a little bit about going back to the 4-ball. Mike mentioned some, the mental toughness with like how tough it is to get new clubs and you're not hitting well. What's that story? What's going on there?
Yeah, so I got them about 2 weeks prior to Hollywood. I mean, the biggest thing with my old irons is that, I wish I could have played them until I couldn't pick up a golf club anymore. Um, but I've always struggled when it comes to playing on firm green conditions because those balls have, those old other irons had, have a less spin. Wasn't really able to hit the ball high. And I even saw it at, U.S. Open sectional qualifying a couple of years ago where I just wasn't even able to hold a green. And it happened at the Ike a couple of years ago at the bridge where, I just get to firm greens and, not just being able to hold anything. And I knew that there was going to be a time eventually where I needed to make a switch to try to get the ball a little bit higher off the club face. And these irons definitely are improving that thought. And I actually am able to have a 5 iron in my golf set now, so that's good.
Do they go like? Are you still working on like at the 4 ball? This is now. Are you still working on distances back then, or like you have those dialed? You're just it's feel and spin and that kind of stuff, or are you still trying to find like I don't know how far my 7 iron goes?
Yeah, so I mean, over the past couple of weeks, I've been able to dial in the distances a little bit better. I'd say they go about 5 yards less than my old irons, and I think generally that's just because I actually have grooves on the club face rather than my other ones. Um, and Yeah, my irons were pretty dialed. I mean, they were dialed with my distances, and I kind of just committed to just everything, being 5 yards less, and that worked out for me. So
And then obviously for me, what stood out most comparatively speaking when I looked at the 4 ball to when I watched the highlights and saw different clips at Union League was the putting grip.
yeah, yeah,
I need to know when that navigated its way into the bag because it wasn't there at Hollywood. And when I'm seeing the clips, I can't lie. I watched it 2 or 3 times to make sure I wasn't seeing something I wasn't. And I was like, nope, my man went to the claw.
yeah. So when my coach listens to this, he's gonna cringe pretty hard because I mean, I couldn't. I for the last month, I couldn't make a putt, and that was always my best feature, even in college. Like when it came down to a 6 footer for par, you know, anything inside of 10 feet, I was pretty good. And even at Hollywood, I mean, you saw it. I 3 putted from 12 feet twice, and like and even leading up to it, I played a couple times, and I was 3 putting from 15, 20 feet, you know, all the time. And I just couldn't get a good feel. The feel with putter just was not good over the ball. Um, and I just, like I said, like with the irons with feel, I'm totally feel. And, um, it felt better. I just messed around with it and it felt better to me putting with the claw, even though I've never putt claw in my entire life. I don't even know if it's the right grip for a claw. It just kind of worked, and I made a couple putts early in stroke play that um, just was like, all right, well, if they're going in, then something's got to be okay. Um, and I kept going. I went back to it a couple times. I just went to normal conventional, and it just it didn't. It felt clunky off the face, and I'm one of those firm believers. If you're out there on the golf course and something's not working, uh, you shouldn't be sticking with it. So the conventional grip wasn't working, so I just kind of stuck with the claw for anything inside of 20 feet, and I made more. I think I made more putts doing that than I would have doing conventional. So it's something that I'm not going to continue doing. That's for sure. Um, but I need to get my stroke back to the way it was conventional, just to feel just to feel a little bit better.
Did did you change to the claw mid round at Union League,
Uh,
or did you start claw before you got down there?
so when I was on the putting green, I hit like 10 putts. I do my normal, 6 foot drills before I go out, and I made nothing. I did just a couple sets, and I'm just like, what am I doing wrong? And then I just flirted with the claw grip, and I did three straight where I didn't miss a putt from 6 feet. I'm like, you know what? I'm going to stick with it. And then got to one, hit it to about 15 feet, and used the claw, and I lipped out. And the next hole, I hit it to 10 feet, used the claw again, and I made it. So I'm like, all right, I got to stick with this. And anything that was a lag putt, I still did conventional, which, again, Jay, when you listen to this, please don't cringe. But it worked out.
Yeah.
It's an understatement.
Can I?
I mean,
Yeah. Can I say I didn't, Mike? I don't even know if I told you this when I was at the start of your 4-ball, right? So I watched you guys hit some balls. I watched you roll some putts. I was mainly talking to Mike. I thought to myself, Austin is not putting well. Like just in the little bit that I saw, I was like, that's a little off. And I don't, because I know that you're a good putter. Even I haven't seen you play significantly as much as Mike has. It just looked, you didn't look comfortable even on the putting green at the 4-ball. In getting ready to tee off, those last couple putts. So that's interesting now that it does resonate that, like, Mike, I don't know if I told you that. I probably didn't tell you it before because I didn't want you to think about it, but I don't know if I've told you since. But I distinctly remember sitting there like watching you guys putt, and I go, Austin doesn't usually miss those, and he's not, he's like looks frustrated, looks uncomfortable over it. So it's interesting that it's coming back, that it is that.
Listen, but then you get into the tournament, and I think, I guess getting your perspective on the golf course prior to playing, my assumption is that you did not have a practice round beforehand. Am I right there?
Yep.
Okay. So you're playing basically that golf course blind. And obviously I think that's pretty damn impressive to go out there and shoot what you did opening round blind. But nonetheless, you fire 72 under par. And like a lot of things that you and I have said in the past, like the goal when you're in stroke play is just to get to match play. Like it doesn't matter if you're the first seed or the 16th seed, just get in, right?
Yep.
So after you played that opening round and you got a little taste of what that place was like, did you feel confident going into match play? Like, okay, I think this course suits my eye. I don't. It's maybe a little quirky with the green, complexes. What was your take heading into match play?
Yeah. So, I mean, like you just said, the place really fit my eye. Off the tee, I don't think the golf course was very demanding. The biggest thing was, I just like that round just made me so confident. Like, I hit 17 greens in that stroke play round. I missed the 18th green. Overall, it just was like I talked about earlier. It was just ball striking. I had a lot of really good looks, and I knew if I continued to do that during match play, I would, and I putted the way I did in stroke play, that I would be able to have a chance. And I talked to my coach after Monday that night, and I told him, like, if I hit it as good as I did today, I'm at least gonna have a chance to win my match tomorrow. And I hit it as good as I did Monday the next throughout the course of the next 4 matches.
Yeah, and I mean, when you think if you're going to go match by match here a little bit, and I don't need to dive into them all, but I mean, that first match was a nail grinder because I think getting through that, because you were 1 up going into 18, and all you really needed to do is close it out with a par, or I should say half the hole more or less. And Ethan does a pretty good job there making birdie on the last hole, which and Ryan and I, when we preview the course, 16, 17, 18 were bears.
Yeah.
So
and I'll tell you what, Ethan was phenomenal young gentleman. He's a lot of game. The way he made birdie on the last hole, it was one of the most impressive birdies I've ever seen. I mean, he hit it in the left, like intermediate rough, which, usually if you're just a little bit off target on fairways, you're going to be either in a waist bunker in the rough. And he hit it. He got a really bad break where he was just on top and needed to have his entire body in the bunker. and he was like 230 yards out. And he had, I mean, I couldn't pull off the shot. I don't know what he hit, but he hit something low, like a low rope hook. It was like a, 1 in 100 shot to about 8 feet. And I looked at my caddy. I was just like, well, there's no chance he's missing that. And I had 140 in, and I pulled pitching wedge to 35 feet, missed the putt, and then he made it to go to extra holes. But like I thought, it was such a good shot that kid hit that I needed to talk about because it was that good. And I thought
Yeah,
even
honestly, yeah.
I
mean,
thought,
we didn't. You don't see this. You don't see the
yeah,
shot by shot per
you just see
se.
the
You
number.
see the score. Yeah.
I mean, it was an unbelievable golf shot. So I needed to talk. I needed to talk about that.
So what's your thought process like going in then after he hits this miraculous shot, puts it in close, you end up going to extras. I mean, you kind of had the momentum going. All you need to do was have, and then he just rips it away. I always come back to golf is super tough physically, but I would argue it's tougher mentally. So something like that he's now taking the momentum. What is it going like to the 19th hole for you? And is this the 20 hole match or the 21
Yeah,
hole?
this is the 20 hole match. Yeah.
So going into your playoff holes, like what are you thinking? What's that like for you going, having just like watched this miraculous shot, all the momentum now, he's essentially pulled the rug out from you there.
Yeah. And I mean, even like I think I was very fortunate enough in those first two matches, even against Troy. Like, I mean, Ethan had a 6-foot putt for birdie to end it on 19, and he just missed and went long over the green on the next hole and couldn't get up and down. So, I caught a break there, and then in the second match with Troy going to 19, he caught a jumper, which was very unfortunate. The greens were on the firmer side later in the afternoon that day, and it hit the bottom of the downslope and went off the back of the green into the water. So, I mean, in extra holes, I caught two, big breaks to, keep me alive. Otherwise, it would have, I would have been done after the, first match.
Yeah. And isn't that what happens all the time? Like you got the opportunity and then you seized it, right? If you don't make a putt, if you don't close, they just because the door's open doesn't mean it's you're through. You got to actually execute yourself too.
Exactly. And that's the good part with match play is it's, I saw Ethan in the first match on the second hole, par 3, go long, and I knew that it would be a really difficult up and down. So you play for the middle of the green, and then even when Troy hit it in the water, I didn't hit a good wedge shot. I hit it to about 30 feet right. But then when he went long, I kind of knew that all I needed to do was just two putts. So, and that's the benefit with match play. You're not playing against the rest of the field. You're playing against, your opponent. So you play a little bit better than him, more than likely you're going to move on. So.
Yeah. And when you talk about that match with Troy, that, it's two heavyweights right there. I mean, you're talking two big names in the state of New Jersey, big time amateur golfers, and you were down early in that match, 2 down, until you kind of rallied there. Those last, was it 4 or 5 holes where you won 4 to 5?
Yeah.
Like that was a big turning point for you in that match after being down 2 up or 2 down more or less after 4.
Yeah. I mean, that first hole in the second match, I played probably my worst hole of the tournament. I just was like, I don't know what the heck happened. It was like kind of a mind fart. And then, once the match got back to all square, I just, kind of put my foot down and just stepped on the gas, and it just was so back and forth the whole way. And then, Troy hit a lot of quality shots, and it was just fun, I'll tell you that.
Yeah, and then I mean after going through that day, playing 39 holes of golf, like not only are you probably physically and mentally exhausted from, in that sense, but you've got to be feeling in a very positive mindset of like, hey, listen, I'm in the final 4 here, and no offense to everybody else that's left in the field. Like, I understand Michael Brown's there, and I understand that Cliff had a really good opening round and he was still around. Like, there were still players. But I
Yeah.
had to think that when you went to sleep that Tuesday night, you're like, you know what? I'm going to get this done tomorrow. And I think when you look at the semifinals, I don't want to say in a mean way because, Mike Brown's a friend of the show, but you waxed him 5-4. And then you went into the next match against Andrew. And, that was a tough match for him to get through Cliff. He gets through. And then no offense to Andrew, but you beat him, in my eyes, 3-2, which is pretty handily. Like, what was that last day's mindset for you when you went to sleep, waking up?
Yeah. I mean, I talked to my caddy, Johnny, obviously on the way to the club in the morning. And, like I said earlier, I told him, I said, we just need to get a good warm up. And if the feel's there, the shots are going to be there. I mean, I played with Michael Brown, I think about 10 times now. There's no one more phenomenal than that guy as far as amateur golf goes. He's true class to the game. And a pleasure to be around always. I knew he was going to, one, never fight if I got up, which he didn't. And I just knew going into it, you just hit the shots, you're playing to win the hole. So if you make triple or you lose a ball, you just got to move on to the next one. And when the match is over, the match is over. But I would say Mike probably didn't play his best that match. Not a lot of the putts fell for him. But
Add the butt in there though, because you did shoot 33 on the front against
Yeah.
Michael Brown. So
Yeah.
so not for nothing. I get it. I know
Yeah,
Mike
yeah.
didn't play the greatest. I understand that. And to your point, match play is a different animal. You're maybe
Yeah.
a little more aggressive when you wouldn't be. But you still go out there and you shot 3 under on the front.
Yeah.
So you got to give credit where credit's due.
Yeah. I mean, I hit. I kind of got onto a hot stretch. Mike won 6, and then he unfortunately hit it over the green from the greenside bunker on 7, and I 2-putted for birdie. The hole after that, I flushed a 6-iron to about 15 feet and made that. Kept the momentum going to the next hole. They made it drivable, and I hit a absolutely perfect 3-wood to about 3 feet, 3.5 feet, and he was in.
Nice
he was
eagle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I kind of just got into a hot spot there and just kind of kept the momentum going with it all, and then I had a pretty comfortable lead, and then got to that par 5, and I just kept telling my caddy, I'm like, we really just need to have him for 2 more holes, and we'll get it done. So,
And you did.
yeah,
And you did. And then obviously you get to the finals. Again, I'm hawking this thing, refreshing this thing, and you know how Golf Genius is sometimes. It's a little delayed, and I'm wondering what the hell is going on, and I'm blasting out a million texts to people. Does anybody have a clue what the hell is going on? And then obviously, when I see you start out 3 up after 5 holes, I'm like, okay, I can't lie. You know how I am. I'm saying this thing's in a damn bag.
yeah,
Like we're coasting. He just won 5-4, shot 33 in the front. He's coasting. But then to Andrew's credit, he gives you a little fight by winning 6, 7, and 9. And now you're all square going into the back 9. What was the drama like when you teed it up on 10?
yeah. I mean, I told and Johnny. I mean, as far as mentally goes, I mean, this was my caddy's second time in the back. Him and I are long-term buddies. Um, you know, he told me afterwards, because that's probably the hottest I came, off of any hole was after 9 when, Andrew just hit an absolute gem of the second shot in that hole to about 10 feet for eagle. And, I hit 4-iron in the greenside bunker, couldn't get up and down. And I was pretty mad. And then my caddy just was like, look, calm down. You got 9 more holes, and we just take it as a 9-hole match, one hole at a time. And, Andrew was out of position on 10, wound up conceding the hole. And then even on 11, I hit it way right. Got myself into a spot where I could, get up and down, and, he was in a very similar spot, and I did, and I took that one up lead, and it just was back and forth from there until we got to 15, which was, I mean, there was drama on that hole, I'll tell you that.
I mean, you birdied that hole.
Yeah, I mean, I probably hit the shot of my life on that hole personally. Um, I was 251 out, pin was back left, water right, water long, and left of the pin is dead, and it was about 20 miles an hour wind into it, and I just hit a perfect squeezing 3-wood that landed 20 yards short and rolled out to about 8 feet, and that gave me the confidence to win, to get out there and just win the next 2 holes, just that shot alone.
I love the way he described that. I love the way he describes that. Did you hear that?
Yeah.
I'm just gonna squeeze a 3-wood, and I'm gonna kind of like maneuver it around a little bit. It's gonna land 20 yards short, just how I played it, and then it's gonna trickle to 8 feet, and game, set, match. How does that taste?
Yeah,
I'm talking about blading one.
Because the thought process with it was, we laid up all week. It's one of those holes that is just, it's an incredible golf hole, personally. You have every option that you want to do with it. And Andrew was behind me. He laid up, and I was 1 up. And I told my caddy, I'm like, look, like, if we hit it if we hit it in the water, we could still make 5. Like, he's in a position from like 150 to a really difficult pin to get back to, where if I hit 3 would get around the green, I'm going to have a better chance of making birdie around that green than being 150 out, because the layup's pretty tough. You got a bunker on the left, and then in reality, if you want to get close, you have to put the water in play almost. So I was like, it's either lay up next to him or go for it. And I was like, there's no doubt in my mind there was any time where I wasn't going to go for it. And it just was a perfect golf shot. And under the circumstances of that time, it was great. But then Andrew hit it to 2 feet from where he was. So, guy just has so much fight in him through that whole match. And, so that was that hole.
Yeah. And then you go, yeah.
Mike, I'm trying to remember the holes here. That's that you're talking like the 5th hole on Grant, correct?
Yeah,
six.
The
6th hole. The 6th hole.
Yeah, like a slight dogleg right par 5 with water all on the right hand side with waste bunker.
Okay, and then the par 3 is after it, correct?
Correct.
Okay, so I was thinking about the right. So Mike and I, when we played it backwards from you guys. We played the same 18, but we started on Grant. So in my mind, it takes a little bit to flip them. So I thought I was on the right hole, but I just wanted to make sure.
And then, then you close them out on 16.
Yeah.
And then
16.
What's that like? What's that like?
Yeah, I mean, it was, it was pretty surreal to me. I mean, I hit 2. I mean, they played the hole at 495. I mean, absolute stunning golf hole, from all the way back there. And I hit I hit a perfect tee shot, and then I hit a perfect 4-iron to 20 feet left, which is really the only place I could have hit it. Otherwise, I would have been short in the greenside bunker. I went at the pin, and he kind of got on. He hit a not the best tee shot off that tee box in the right rough. Hooked his next one, and then tried to get it close, and wound up finding himself in the other greenside bunker. I mean, the winning moment to me was, I mean, I still think about it. It's like, my girlfriend was there, my dad, my buddy Jake Armando came down for the trip, for the final 2 rounds, and then, just having my buddy on the bag, all of it meant so much. But I still, like, afterwards when we were driving back, I was sitting next to Kevin Purcell in the cart, and I was just like, I can't believe I did that.
Well, you might have been one of the few people that didn't think you could do it, because I think if you had asked a lot of people prior to that, you were a person that, hey, listen, you just turned 25. You're right at the age to be a Mid-Am. Like, I vividly remember during the winter stopping in the shop and talking with you and Chris saying, like, wait till he becomes a Mid-Am. He's going to really be pushing the envelope in terms of championships. I vividly remember that. And it's just fitting that in your first one, you kind of go out there and you win it. So, I mean, I don't, maybe from your perspective, it's surprising, but I think from a lot of us on the outside, we know what you're capable of doing. So we're not surprised, even though we're beyond thrilled that you're getting it done.
I appreciate it.
And that's always tough, when you have Austin. I don't know if you feel it, but like the pressure to do well is just added pressure when you have people that are kind of expecting you to be a champion. That adds that little bit more pressure. And
Yeah.
I'm going to speak for Mike. I think that we think that there's more to come here. So it's now that you've gotten one, you could be getting a second and a third, and I'm in the same boat. I know how good you are, and there is bigger things for you to come.
I certainly hope so.
I do want to touch on one thing a little bit with you is obviously where you're at is a special place to both of us. Okay. I think the membership itself speaks for many, many different things in terms of how supportive they are. I think it would be unfair for you not to speak about how much they support you in endeavors like this, because the reality is you are a golfer who has a lot of game, and you just so happen to be a very vital part to what they do every single day at the club. Speak to like the membership aspect and how much they've supported you in this little journey of yours.
Yeah, I mean, first and foremost, thank you is not even enough to the MRGC membership. I mean, I'm still responding back to text messages, and I apologize to anyone that I've missed in regards to it. But the amount of support that I get from this place, it's it's the biggest reason why I work here. Just being able to, even just like, miss work just to go play in a golf tournament. It's never like, oh, like, where's Austin and whatnot, like, blah, blah, blah. It's like, oh, how's Austin doing? Like, is he doing a good job? Like, what's he at on his match? Like, that's the whole buzz that I heard from the employees and my staff throughout those couple days that I was down there from back here at the club, and everyone was following me. And for the last couple days that I've been back, everyone's just been coming up, high fives, hugs, so happy for you. And that just motivates me so much more for what's to come this season, with State Am, State Open, and, just being able to have the support from them, apart from my family and friends that I'm with, just, it's truly unbelievable. And, I say it all the time, I don't think there's a single membership that's better than what we got here at Manasquan River Golf Club. I love coming here every single day, and I don't think there's any better place for me at the moment as far as my career goes. I still don't know what's ahead for everything, but I know that for now, there's not a day that goes by where I'm not happy being here. So
that's really important, Austin, to have that membership behind you, because it's not like, oh, I played in a tournament on my day off, or the club is closed on Monday, so I can go play in this. Like, it was Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday was the Mid-Am, if I'm not mistaken. So like that's 3 days that you're not at the club, that the club is open. So it's great that they're super supportive, and again, you guys know the club much better than I do, but the little insight that I've gotten, it really is a special place. It's not just a special spot, a special plot of land, I guess. It's not just a special views looking at the water, but like the people that work there, which include yourself, the people that I've gotten to meet that are members there, through Mike and you and Chris. It really is a special location from stem to stern.
for sure.
Now, Austin, I guess, as we look ahead here, I think the next question is, what is next? And obviously, I know the State Am's right around the corner. I know the State Open is not too far behind. But what else after that? Are like, in terms of like the Met schedule, what are we dabbling in there? Listen, I know, and again, I don't know the exact specifications when it comes to the MGA and their Mid-Am. I know it's invitation based.
Yeah.
But is it 25 there as well?
It's 30.
I thought it was 32.
Yeah.
That's kind of where I can imagine you had been licking your chops had it been right in your backyard. But I did think there was that difference with that organization compared to the NJSGA. But what is the schedule?
Yeah, so I mean, thankfully for Brad, Brad Barden just gave me invite to play in the Stoddard Cup on July 1st up at North Jersey Country Club. So
Oh, it's one of Ryan's favorite spots.
Let's go. That's my jam. Hey, congrats. That's a huge invite.
Yeah, it's going to be my second Stoddard. I was fortunate enough to play in the Comfort Cup in the beginning of the spring season, which was a lot of fun. The last time I played the Stoddard Cup, it was at Hackensack. The NJSGA actually won, so I'm looking forward to it. It's a Monday, so I'm not going to have to miss work, even though we have a Parkway Tour event going on. But I think my guys will be fine here. But after that, it's the State Am and State Open. I thought that maybe, I've never looked at the exemption criteria for the Mid-Am and Mid-Open except after the State Am. But it doesn't get me into the Mid-Am or Mid-Open. But I mean, hopefully I can, I'm going to look at the Mid-Am qualifying schedule and see what I can do. I would play in the Ike if I could. But it is the day after our Bristol member guest, and I would have to leave right after the shootout to go up to Connecticut. I believe that's where it is this year. And I don't think my body and my mentality will be all that there for that golf tournament. If I was to do that, I did it numerous times before, and I'd never played well in it. So I got to focus on work for that weekend.
Well, nonetheless, that still leaves a loaded July. It
Yeah.
still leaves a loaded July. And listen,
Yep.
I can't lie. I'd have to think that at this point, and I know that the pressure of expectations is there by a lot of us because I think we all know what you're capable of doing. But I think for someone on the outside, and maybe not so much you, like the player of the year is something that's got to tickle your fancy a little bit. And then maybe it's not something you even think about because you're overwhelmed as is. But someone like me that sits there and watches this stuff as if it changes on a day-to-day basis, like, I mean, God, it's there. It's there for the taking.
Yeah, I mean, the big thing with it is, for me with my mentality, I don't try to add on any extra pressure for myself. I just try to focus on that one tournament and the next shot ahead. The next big one's going to be the State Am. So I've never been out to Forest Hill before, but I've heard some great things since the renovations. But there is a ton of players that are in that event that are insanely good at the game. So, not discrediting any of the players from the mid-amateur, but, there's a lot of guys out there that I've competed against the last couple of years that were not in the mid-am because, they are either still in college or doing whatever. But, it's going to be much more difficult to play in that event. 4 days, 72 holes of stroke play, anything can happen on one of those holes, but, and then Plainfield for the State Open, which is just going to be an absolute treat. That golf course is spectacular. But I mean, my main thing is just to, keep thinking everything's the same, doing my thing here at MRGC, trying to get enough reps in where I can just continue to hit the ball good. And then just whatever happens, happens. I'm not going to not be happy with the rest of the season after what just transpired last week.
Listen, well, you have to stay tuned. July 4th, Ryan and I will have our preview out of Forest Hill after we got up there, played, experienced the whole nine. So in case you don't get out there and play, tune in.
Yeah. I'll take any course notes I can get.
How intently did you listen to our interview for Union League? You didn't get a practice round there. Did that help at all?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, personally, like when it comes to going in blind to golf courses, and it's going to sound crazy, I'd rather go in blind personally, because I think it makes me play a little bit smarter, especially off the tee. Just because if I could get myself in it with my stupid head, if I play the place and I hit a tee shot OB on a hole, I'm just going to be like, well, don't do that in the tournament. You know what I mean? But yeah, everything you guys talked about, even, all the videos and everything, when Mike posted the video of the 11th hole, which would have been your second hole if you guys played it in reverse. Oh, sorry, third hole, where it was just sand and green. It was like an island green. I was like, whoa. I'm like, that's gonna kind of be what the rest of the golf course is like. So,
Yeah.
And for this maybe you're going to keep this between you two, but how many times did you and Mike talk about the course before you actually got to go play it?
um, I mean, we didn't. I mean, Mike texted me that the place was an absolute gem. And then obviously he was like, if you need any help, certainly let me know. Besides that, we kind of just, kept it cool. Um,
It's best
and
for me to stay out of his way.
no,
This is
no.
one of the. Well, it is. Listen, that and a question like that. Listen, if a guy like Austin would need help, I had no problem helping. But I also know there are times where he doesn't need my help. And if he were to text me, like I say all the time, there's not someone that responds faster to a text than me. I would have instantly answered his question. But listen, I'm all ears. Anytime I can help, I'm here to help. But listen, I mean, I can't thank you enough for coming on today, recapping this whole thing. I mean, listen, that, behind the scenes, there aren't probably, besides family and the guys there at the club, there aren't two guys rooting harder for you than Ryan and I. And we love the success that you have. And just seeing you go out there and get the job done with expectations being so high makes it even sweeter, in my opinion. So, listen, I can't thank you enough for coming on today's show. And listen, keep on winning. You'll keep on coming on, pal.
Hopefully in a couple of weeks we'll be back.
Love that.
Works for us.
Yeah, Austin, congratulations. It's nice seeing, obviously you and Mike have a special relationship and bond there, and seeing how excited he is for you. Not that I'm not excited, but it's it goes to show that he loves you like a brother and is over the moon happy for you. So again, congrats and hoping to have you on soon.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate you having me.
Take care.